Moms and dads, it's time to calm things down. Dim those lights, chill out a little bit. Because chances are your sleep schedule's a little bit strained right now. As a parent, that happens. When we don't get enough sleep, we may feel moody, we may feel agitated, may feel foggy. We know how operating on just a little bit of sleep can take a toll on our physical, mental, emotional, and inside health over time. And that's for us adults. Think about what it's doing to our kids. Consistent lack of sleep for kids can take your entire home and turn it upside down. In addition to the emotional challenges that come along with it, we also see immune and digestive challenges that arise from lack of sleep and lack of the body to internally regulate itself because it's exhausted. Our brains, our nervous system, and our bodies do their best work when we're asleep. And with sleep being a key pillar to your children, your family, and your health and well being, let's talk a little bit about how we can improve sleep from a natural perspective for the kids, for the family, and for us too. So, if you're looking for answers and solutions on how to improve sleep in your kids, your family, and yourself, stay tuned. This is for you. Whether we're talking about struggles of falling asleep or staying asleep and sleeping for longer periods of time, we know that oftentimes there is a neurological component to this sleep problem. So today, that's what we're going to talk about, plus some other easy things to do to help the nervous system to calm down, get into that parasympathetic, eat, sleep, poop, digest, sleep mode, get out of that stress stuck on fight or flight mode, and really get the system working like it should. Now, sleep is important for adults, but it is vitally important for kids as they are growing and developing. There are 3 different types of benefits that we see from sleep. We can look at physical benefits. Gives us energy, but it's also vital for kids' bodies to grow properly. We see better growth hormone production. We see healthy weight management. We see protein production that fights germs and stress, have a lower risk of injury, and when we're sleeping, our body is physically repairing muscles and broken down tissue. Now, mental benefits. Mental benefits are huge. Sleep is essential for brain function and development for kids. It also is going to affect their day to day. These things kind of look like, these effects look like memory and motor skill development, vocabulary acquisition, improved alertness overall, cognitive resilience, and creative thinking and problem solving. Now, I'd be remiss to not include the emotional benefits of sleep as well. Sleep's going to affect our mood, which in turn is going to affect our social interactions, our school performance, and our internal self-esteem, how we feel about ourselves. Benefits of good sleep in kids helps emotional regulation. It helps kids to make positive decisions easier, and it makes kids better at making and maintaining relationships with others. We also see a lower risk of depression, and it also helps us to process all those experiences throughout our day, to understand them and to regulate them into our system, all from sleep. So we know all the good things about sleep. What are some of the things that make it hard to sleep? Well, if our kid may be experiencing an interrupted circadian rhythm. What's a circadian rhythm? Glad you asked. Circadian rhythm is our internal clock. We all have one, and it's influenced by certain stimuli or activities. For example, sunlight, it's an indicator of day. Darkness, it's an indicator of night. These are 2 things that do affect our circadian rhythms, and that sunlight on, sunlight off cycle builds a routine, and that routine helps to develop a child's circadian rhythm. Without routine, kids have a very hard time establishing and syncing up with their sleep cycle. Additionally, interrupting a sleep cycle, especially REM sleep, does interrupt brain stimulation that's important in helping learning and memory develop. Now, the central nervous system is going to regulate all of this process. So again, if our central nervous system is in that stress stuck on state, this system doesn't work that great. Another thing that interferes with sleep cycles is a breathing disorder. Sleep apnea or sleep disordered breathing or other conditions similar make it difficult for children to get quality sleep. If we're not getting proper oxygen through sleeping, if we are mouth breathing and snoring, the indication one of these may be at play, and it could be getting in front of our kids' REM cycles and even waking them up during the night. We might notice that they wake up many times during the night and things like a sleep study. And number 3, High stress and anxiety. It's everywhere today. People are more stressed out than ever right now. And especially kids experiencing a high amount of stress or anxiety, they're going to have trouble sleeping. Some kids are more susceptible to emotional anxiety, especially if they have conditions like ADHD or autism. And oftentimes there's an underlying issue of anxiety and sleep challenges at the same time. This creates that stress stuck on sympathetic fight or flight part of the nervous system to just shoot right off the charts. And if that stress system is on, it leaves zero time for that parasympathetic, healthy growth development, eat, sleep, poop, sleep part of the system to work like it's supposed to, uninterrupted. And the last thing, too much stimulation. Kids can't relax if they're all wound up, if they're feeling wide awake. If kids have stimulants before bed, like caffeine or sugar, they're not going to fall asleep easy. Even looking at a screen from a phone, a TV, a tablet has been shown through studies and is going to affect our sleep patterns. As a society as a whole, kids and adults alone, we have an overabundance of technology. I really feel that it's encroaching on our sleep habits and interrupting our sleep, and it's messing with us. So what are a couple things you can do to help? Well, number one, establish your routine. Build some discipline around. Kids thrive on structure and clear expectations. So sticking to a bedtime routine might be one of the best things you can do for helping your children to fall asleep and stay asleep. This helps to regulate your child's sleep and wake cycle, which better associates bedtime with sleep time. In addition to being more consistent, you can try earlier bedtimes, helping your child self-soothe with stuffed animals or blankets, rewarding positive behavior, and being specific and outlining exactly what your child needs to do to get ready for bed. 2, you can use a white noise machine. Man, it's about putting me to sleep. This thing's a lifesaver. Now, that white noise can be calming for children, and it can also tone down all of the other stimuli coming in. So if we have an early bedtime and parents want to stay up later and watch a show, chill out, do an activity, do something, the noises from coming outside of their room won't necessarily interfere with the child's sleep cycle because that white noise machine will kind of just level everything out. We have that small little noise machine that I just showed you, and it's something that we clip onto Benny's car seat. And when we're in a situation where we're outside, a lot of things going on, and he's napping, we click that thing on and the kid sleeps like a rock, which is kind of an interesting thought. And rocks don't really sleep, do they? I guess they aren't really awake either, so maybe that's where it comes from. Anyways, this is also something that can help train your child's brain that, okay, it's dark out, I'm in my bed, we got the white noise going on, it's time to turn it all down and sleep. Which brings us to our next thing, creating ideal room conditions. I got the lights off right now. We're talking about a chill, soothing environment here. If the windows are wide open, your house is right next to the freeway, you hear honking and people revving their engines and people on crotch rockets flying by at 120 miles an hour, well, that's a challenge, right? Creating the right environment will significantly help to decrease your child being woken up by outside stimuli, and it will help increase their ability to fall asleep naturally. These conditions also help train your child's brain that it's ready for bedtime. The right environment will help them get ready for bed, and it will also help protect their sleep cycles. So generally, kids like a clean, cool, ventilated room, not having a whole bunch of light. Darker rooms help our bodies to naturally produce melatonin, which is necessary for regulating normal sleep cycles, which, the M word, we'll get to in a little bit. Coming up next, warm baths and relaxation. I mean, hey, come on. Who couldn't fall asleep in a nice warm bath? Especially for kids that feel anxious at night or are dealing with a lot of stress and stimulus. A warm bath can go a really long ways. It's soothing and it helps prep them for sleep. You can use bath salts with magnesium, which will also promote sleep. We use a little bit of lavender and it really gets Benny in a super chill, relaxed state. We try to stick to a pretty darn tight schedule, so we know that by 7:15 or so, Benny is in his bath. He gets 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how well we are getting him in at 7:15, before he is wrapped up in a nice warm towel out of the dryer, got in his little warm bathrobe, which is hilarious, and set up and ready for his last bit of milk and ready to go to bed. He's down by 8 o'clock most nights. Another big thing that I talk about with all of the kids I see and their parents is getting outside of screen time before bed. Now, screen time before sleep is not good for adults. It's really not good for kids. Not only is it distracting and keeps us up later than we should be because, I had one more thought, or I wanted to read one more article or watch one more reel. And unless it's one of our reels or one of our YouTube videos, it can be a little bit much. It's easy to go down the rabbit hole of the internet, and it happens all too often. And before we know it, it's 12:15. Should have been asleep 2 hours ago. Got to wake up at 5. Holy moly. Also, the blue light coming into our eyes activates a part of our brain which interrupts our sleep cycle. It's like two deer in an antler lock in a rut. We got two things going different directions. Additionally, screens reduce our body's natural melatonin production. So as a rule of thumb, get rid of those screens 30 minutes before bedtime. I try to say get rid of them an hour before bedtime. Now, if you've tried all those things so far, we're getting down to the list of like, what can I supplement with? What can I take? Chamomile tea, sleepy time tea. Oh, man. Puts me right out. Chamomile tea does have several benefits in terms of helping with sleep, but it also helps to boost our immune system, which is a darn good thing if you ask me. It can also be a safe, very mild chiller outer for your kids and helping promote sleep. And while you don't want to give things like cherry juice to infants, you can give it to kids because it does have trace amounts of natural melatonin, and it also is a good way to incorporate magnesium into your kid's diet. And this will help with sleep. I also have to make an aside here that oftentimes we look towards a melatonin gummy as the holy grail of let's get that kid to sleep. Pop one or two of those things, and in 5 minutes, they are down and out for the count. There is nothing in the natural world that works like that. And though our bodies do produce melatonin, which is important for our sleep cycles, there are studies out now that show that long-term use of melatonin in males specifically is detrimental towards, well, the propagation of future generations. If you can read between the lines with that, that's not something I want to mess with Benny's future, and I definitely want to stay away from it myself. So if we're talking about bolstering our body's natural ability to produce it through things like chamomile tea, sure, cool, whatever. But if we're talking about relying constantly on an outside supplement coming in, that supplement is basically a nutraceutical, which then becomes like a medication, and our body becomes dependent upon it, which, bad news. Other things you can do during the day that aren't necessarily right before bed are making sure that your kids have plenty of stimulation and outside activity. It's the long said thing. Go out, touch grass. Get outside. Get barefoot in the grass. Get the stimulation coming inward. Those sensory pathways are very important. But exercising during the day gets your kids tired out. It lets them expend the energy that they need to for healthy nervous system development, and it doesn't leave them with a bunch of pent up, straight up, crazy energy that's ready to be released when you as a mom and dad are ready for bedtime. Also, getting this stuff done during the day helps us to give clear differentiation between daytime activities, going outside. Speaking of sleep, it's like little buddy woke up from his nap. Say hi to everybody. If you don't mind, Benny's going to help me finish this. So exercising and doing activities during the day helps us to establish clear differences between daytime outside activities and nighttime activities. Sleep. This also helps with routine and regulating our kids' internal clocks. Now, a lot of stimulation right before bedtime is a little counterproductive, but activity during the day will pay off at night, I promise. The last thing, keeping caffeine away. This seems like an obvious remedy for kids and adults alike, but be sure to keep caffeine away from your kids, especially when we're getting close to bedtime. Most parents are in the know enough to say, well, my kid's not throwing back Red Bulls and double shot espressos anytime soon. But what we don't often think about is there are many foods that are commonly consumed that contain caffeine, such as chocolate. We get that chocolatey post-dinner tasty dessert. Well, essentially we're giving our kids that jolt of caffeine that might be really hard for them to come back from and get into a nice, relaxed state of sleep. It's best to avoid caffeinated foods and beverages altogether, but limiting chocolate to daytime may also be beneficial in helping your child fall asleep at bedtime. So, what if you've tried all these things already? What if you're saying, Tygue, duh, I know all this stuff. What else you got for me? Well, if you've tried all these things and these sleep remedies and your kids are still having troubles with sleep, it's time to give neurologically focused pediatric chiropractic a try. Oh, buddy. You gotta stop being crabby, bud. All kids are unique and every case is different. The majority of sleep struggles start with the brain and the nervous system. Our clinical process of finding out the cause, where, and how stressors are affecting sleep is key on how to help it long term. And we look at it without needing to add in supplements or medications. And it also helps the remedies we just talked about work easier for you as a parent. So moms, dads, if you have a crabby little monster like this one, not as he wakes up from a nap, but it just won't take a nap or go to bed, give us a call. You can sign up on our website for a free 15-minute consultation to talk over the phone to see if you'd be a great match for our practice and see if your child is going on with something that we can help. Okay, little man went back to sleep. But if you're a mom or dad or family member, or if you know somebody close to you that is struggling with a child with sleep challenges, share this video. Shoot them on over to our website. I have a new blog post talking more detail about this. Here to help your kids. I'm here to help you. Here to regulate those sleep cycles. Can't wait to meet you. Can't wait to talk to you. Can't wait to help your kiddos out. See you soon. Take care of you.